everybody, and welcome to this month's Myth of the Month. Last month, we met some legendary and mythical creatures from around the globe. Today, we're going to look at several more fantastical creatures. The Alicanto is a bird from Chilean mythology. These birds have a very unusual diet. They eat gold and silver. By day, they look like any other ordinary bird, but at night, their wings shine and glow. The color of their shine depends on what they have eaten recently. So if they ate gold last, their wings will take on a golden shine. These birds get around by running on the ground. It is likely that they could fly, except for one small problem. They are weighed down by the ore that they eat. Because of the Alicanto's diet, treasure hunters would follow them to find deposits of silver and gold in mines. If they went unnoticed by the bird, a person could easily be led to riches. The best way to do this is to follow from a distance and wait for the bird to finish its meal before going near the silver or gold. However, if the Elecanto does realize it's being followed, it will turn off the shine on its wings, leaving its pursuer alone in the dark. Sometimes the bird will lead someone on a chase for a bit to disorient them, then give a blinding flash with its wings before running off. If the Elecanto deems the person following it is wicked or greedy, instead of leaving them alone in the dark, they will lead them over a cliff to their doom. Another legendary bird is the roc from Middle Eastern mythology. Stories say these birds were enormous. Their huge wings could block out the sun and cause cyclone-like gusts of wind when flapped. Their feathers were said to be as big as palm leaves. They were so big they could easily pick up an elephant for its supper. Legend says explorer Marco Polo spotted a roc doing just that. The roc appears in a couple of the stories in 1001 Arabian Nights. Most notably, they show up during 2 of the voyages of Sinbad the Sailor, a hero who traveled the seas, fighting monsters and visiting fantastical places. In his second voyage, Sinbad ended up stranded on a desert island after a shipwreck. He was picked up by a roc who unknowingly carried him to safety, plopping him down in his nest. While the nest was certainly safer than the island, Sinbad was still stranded. Eventually, he tied himself to the bird's leg. The roc flew to the Valley of Diamonds, where Sinbad was able to make his way home with the fortune and diamonds. During Sinbad's 5th voyage, Sinbad's crew found a large, strange, domed object buried in the sand. Curious, they broke it open and found it was an egg. They started to cook and eat the contents for their meal when Sinbad realized what kind of egg it was. Knowing the huge birds would not be happy, he ordered everybody back to the ship so they could get away. But the roc parents soon found what had happened and dropped giant boulders on the ship until it was destroyed. While he was shipwrecked again, Sinbad survived to go on a total of 7 voyages. Another very large creature is the Namazu from Japanese mythology. A Namazu is a giant catfish that causes earthquakes. While this creature can cause plenty of destruction, it is generally seen more as a mischief maker than a troublemaker. The god Take Mikazuchi was responsible for keeping the Namazu in line. He uses a large, heavy stone to keep the enormous fish pinned down underneath the stone. The top of this stone can be seen sticking out of the ground to this day. However, there are times when the god has to leave his post and other times when he may get distracted. During these times, the Namazu wiggles and squirms, thrashing its tail about, causing earthquakes. Destruction caused by these earthquakes did have a positive side. They required the rebuilding of communities. Due to this, greedy, wealthy classes would have to use their riches to rebuild, which would redistribute the wealth and give the community as a whole a brand new start. Cerberus is a 3-headed dog from Greek mythology. While he looked mostly canine, he had a mane of snakes, a serpent's tail, and a lion's claws. It is said that his slobber could be used in poisons. Cerberus had many terrible monsters as siblings. Zeus let the rest of them roam free to challenge heroes, but he saw something special in Cerberus and sent him to Hades, the god of the underworld. Cerberus was tasked with guarding the gate of the underworld. He let the dead in and prevented them from leaving. He was also supposed to keep still-living mortals out of the underworld, but there were stories about some getting through, the most well-known being Orpheus. Orpheus went to the underworld to try to bring back his wife, Eurydice. He got past Cerberus by playing his lyre and luring the dog to sleep. What happened to Orpheus next is a story for another time. Cerberus also played a role in Heracles' story. Heracles had the task of performing 12 labors. His final task was to retrieve Cerberus from the underworld. Instead of fighting, Heracles asked Hades if he could borrow the dog. Hades agreed so long as the hound remained unharmed and promptly returned when the task was complete. Agreeing to these terms, Heracles wrestled Cerberus until he wore the dog out, allowing him to keep his word to Hades and complete his task. If you're interested in Heracles' other labors, be sure to check out our previous Myth of the Month videos. Our final creature comes from Latin American urban legends, the Chupacabra. Stories of this creature reach all across North and South America, from Maine to Chile, although the first reported sighting was in Puerto Rico in 1995. 8 sheep were found dead with 3 holes in their chest. Many more animals were found in the same condition. A witness came forward and claimed to have seen an unusual creature around the time of the attacks. People then named the mysterious creature Chupacabra, meaning goat-sucker in Spanish. The Chupacabra's appearance varies depending on the story. In some, they are more reptile-like and hop around like a kangaroo. In others, they look more like a hairless dog and walk around on all fours. There are some constant features across the different tales, though. They have spines from neck to tail, claws, and sharp fangs. There have been bodies found of creatures believed to be chupacabras. However, when examined, the bodies turned out to be dogs, coyotes, or raccoons with a bad case of mange, a skin disease caused by mites that causes them to lose their fur. The sickly animals look much different than normal, making it easy to mistake them for something else. Skeptics also point out that a sick coyote would seek out livestock as easy prey. But others point out that if that were the case, the coyote would have eaten the animal. A chupacabra's victim is drained of blood, but is otherwise left intact, except for 1 to 3 puncture wounds. What do you think? Thank you for joining us for this month's Myth of the Month, and we will see you next time.